Thank you for joining Wars of the Rosies. And this is The Secret of Numbers by Frater Thor Kiimalehto, F.R.C., past Secretary General of AMORC. An article from Rosicrucian Digest, Volume 11, Number 1, February 1933. The Secret of Numbers by Thor Kiimalehto, F.R.C., past Secretary General of AMORC. I do not claim originality, I am a transmitter. Kung Fu Sei, 551 BC. The fascination of numbers is not confined to the mathematical alone, because the mystic as well as the scientist has from time immemorial been attracted by the possibilities of its combinations. The figures 3, 5, and 8, and 4, 7, and 9 have especially been subjects of veneration, and also uncalled for exploitation. The thorough analysis of modern science and the deep research of contemporary historians have demonstrated that the speculations and precepts of the ancients in regard to numbers had a solid basis in actuality, from the particles circulating in the sunbeam to the center sun of the universe. Every object displays a threefold nature. The laws of numbers do more than satisfy our realization of order and harmony, because they are the practical guides in architecture, in science, art, and the conduct of life. Unusual combinations and trick computations have been worked out by many, some of which on casual examination are frivolous. As an example, take Benjamin Franklin's birthday rule. Write down the number of the month of birth, annex it to the day of birth, multiply the number by 2, add 5, multiply by 50, add age, subtract 365, and add 115. The quotient will show the month and day of birth and age when pointed off. Please observe the two last items of the rule. Subtract 365 and add 115. Why did Franklin require two operations here when he could have said subtract 250? There seems to have been his purpose to leave evidence of a mystic system of knowledge, founded on the cosmos, mathematics, and geometry. The figure 365 suggests the day of the year, and therefore also the Earth's orbit or solar circle, whose diameter is 115. Many other mystic examples can be brought forward from mathematics and geometry, which do not come within the scope of our more serious consideration here. Number is the language of the infinite. Esoterically considered, the digits 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 9 indicate the presence of unity in one, and therefore the ancients considered them as expressing absolute laws. Number 1 is the beginning and end of every synthesis. We look at man, and while we perceive him as a unit, that he acts and moves as a whole, yet at the same time we also see that he is made up of parts, that there is a trinal division into head, trunk, and limbs, and a dual division of the limbs into legs and arms. We thus see and recognize both the one and the many, both unity and plurality, at the same time. The mind does not experience any difficulty in taking cognizance on both the simple and the complex. The two ideas are accepted by the mind without conflict. In order to find the root power of a figure, the ancients used a system of addition and reduction which we now call theosophic. In this addition, all the numbers contained in a single figure are added together as follows. Take figure 7. It has an inherent power of all the numbers contained in it, in a neuter capacity, and the active power of its accumulated additions, 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6 plus 7, equaling 28, equal 2 plus 8, equal 10, equal 1. Figure 7 reduces to or shows power of 1, primary. Take number 5153, 5 plus 1 plus 5 plus 3 equal 14 equals 1 plus 5, equaling 5. Theosophic reduction consists of reducing all numbers found from two or more figures to a single unit by adding together each single figure until only one remains. Take 142,857. 1 plus 4 plus 2 plus 8 plus 5 plus 7 equals 27, equaling 2 plus 7 being 9. Or 6,561. 6 plus 5 plus 6 plus 1 equaling 18 is 1 plus 8 being 9. These two operations of addition and reduction are apparently meaningless and useless to the superficial reader. But when we try to bring a little light upon it, by these operations the primary force, or, let me say, the causating force is revealed. Let us look a little closer at the theosophic addition. We will find that figures 1, 4, 7, and 10 are equal to 1, revealing the primary cause or unit. We also find that in every three numbers, the series comes back to unity. For example, 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 being 10 equal 1, and 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6 plus 7 being 28 equaling 2 plus 8 being 10 becoming 1. We could then write 1, 2, 3 or 4, 5, 6 and 7, 8, and 9. The unit 1 represents the active principle of numbers, because the others emanate therefrom. If we remember that all force must be dual in itself, or rather opposing itself, we realize that from this proceeds duality, represented by figure 2, the passive principle, and from the union of unity and duality proceed the third principle, which is neuter, 3. These principles acting as one force demonstrate a fourth power, or reduction to unity, which is transitional to a different scale. The sum and substance is that the digits clearly show a triple triunity, or in other words, three distinct powers that are in their nature triune. The ancients taught that the three triune powers referred to the divine world, the human world, and the material world respectively. We then have figures 1 representing the divine active, 2 divine passive, 3 divine neuter. Figure 4, human active, 5 human passive, 6 human neuter. Figure 7, material active, 8 material passive, 9 material neuter. Figure 10 represents transition. We then have an active, positive principle and generator, represented by figure 8. Secondly, we have a negative, passive principle, and generate, represented by figure 2. And finally, we have a neuter or generated principle, proceeding from the union of 1 and 2, represented by figure 3. Now the trinity is complete as one force, and its product is a passive positive transitory force, which is figure 4. Figure 4 is passive in its natural scale, which is the squaring of the entire principle, but becomes active when acting independently and as a generator and active principle, which produces its positive counterpart 5. The union of the active and the passive forces produce in their turn the second negative principle, which is the generated principle 6. From the union of the force 4, 5, and 6, we get the transitory force 7, which becomes a positive active principle on the third scale. The active figure 7 produces its positive, figure 8, and the 2 produce the neuter figure 9. Figure 10 is a new acceptation of the unity as an active principle on a different scale, etc. These are the secret laws of figures and the only ones as taught in the Egyptian mystery schools. In later years, or in more modern time, there have been many misguided mortals that have connected a system of fortune-telling under guise of occultism, which they call numerology. They all have their axe to grind, rather a material object, money, and by catering to a human cupidity, they get a certain following for a time. There is, for instance, one Eva S. Stewart, who has written a book in 7 volumes called The Ancient Cipher, a sort of religious material speculation, founded upon the numbers and the alphabet. It is peculiar that they all use the English alphabet, where A will be 1, and B 2, etc. On the face of it, it is unscientific, unreliable, and foolish. And speaking of this, the writer has more than a superficial knowledge of their systems. The secret laws of figures, as here stated, were taught by Pythagoras, who was initiated in the Egyptian schools. He called it Tetractus, the law of trinity. Number 2 naturally is duality. All forces of nature are dual or polar. Number 3 is the number of simple completeness, the trinity. In every actual unit there is also a trinity. In the atom of matter, there are 3 dimensions, length, breadth, and thickness. The organic cell has 3 elements, cell wall, nucleus, and circulating contents. Figure 4 represents simple organization or structure, the crossing of 2 lines of force at right angles. 4 is the number of life and of family. The reader will notice that the main point is trinity. The primary analysis of mental phenomena gives the divisions thought, feeling, and volition, or wisdom, love, and will. These spring from the faculties of intellect, affection, and volition. They are based upon 3 divisions of the bodily functions. The intellect acts in close sympathy with the entire nervous system. Affection acts with the organs of nutrition, and volition governs the motive system. The intellect is directive, affection is attractive, and volition is impulsive. The early Egyptians taught that the indeterminable principle Ra was a divine trinity, Amon or power, Ptah or wisdom, and Osiris or goodness. Jamblique says, the Egyptian god is called Amon when he is regarded as a hidden force which brings all things to the light. He is called Ptah when he accomplishes all things with skill and truth. Lastly, when he is the good and beneficent god, he is named Osiris. The primitive Hindu Rig-Veda says that the indeterminable principle, Parabrahm, was Brahma, or creator, Vishnu, or preserver, and Siva, or transformer. Similarly, we have in the Christian religion the well-known Trinity, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. The early Scandinavian mythology gives us the Trinity, Odin, truth, Thor, war, and Frey, peace. In fact, all religions are founded upon the unity and trinity. In every object and every action are 3 parts or forces. The 2 side members of the trinity support the central member, and the general relation of the 3 is formal, statistic, and dynamic. The side members of a trinity are itself instruments of differentiation. Every object has the properties of form, space, and number, and in every atom these inherent properties give rise to constant vibrations of a definite character. In objects of more complex construction, the forms are fixed expressions of the rations with which the producing forces have acted. Thank you for watching, and please don't forget to share, like, subscribe, and comment. And if you can, please consider donating to Wars of the Rosies. Links to PayPal and Patreon are in the description. Thank you so very much.